Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi amma ba'du. We'd like to welcome all of you brothers and sisters here for the program that is being put on and sponsored by our brothers from the Nasiha Foundation. And we're happy to have once again in the country one of the shuyukh who we've known for a number of years, who called to a Salafiyya and the dawah of al-Hadith in a balanced and moderate way, as a Salafiyya is being balanced and moderate, and is no one other than our Shaykh Abu Abdurrahman Khalid Al-Ambari. May Allah Ta'ala preserve him and you as well. Today, inshallah ta'ala, the lecture is going to be about clash of civilizations. The Shaykh is going to deliver the message, and then after that we're going to have a Q&A session, inshallah ta'ala, in which people will get an opportunity to ask questions about the lecture. So the questions are going to be about the lecture that was presented. I don't think that the Shaykh came to Huddersfield before, and I don't know how much exposure the Huddersfield community has had with translations. So there are two ways that we normally do the translations. The Shaykh talks 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and the translator takes that information and he gives it. Or the second way, in which he gives a short sentence and the translator, he translates that sentence, so as not to be heavy on the people and not to bore the people. We're going to do the second alternative, and we ask Allah Ta'ala for his tawfiq. So without any further ado, we ask the Shaykh an yatafaddal mashkuran lahu.
Inna alhamdulillah نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ثم أما بعد فمرحبا بكم أيها الأحبة. وإن السعادة لتغمر قلبي بسبب هذا اللقاء وبسبب أننا نلتقي بأحبتنا ونراهم وهم يحرصون على طلب العلم ويحرصون على الفائدة. فأسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يكون هذا اللقاء موفقا مباركا.
The Shaykh began with praising Allah Azza wa Jal and sending salutations of peace and blessings upon our Nabi al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And then he said, welcome to all of you, and that it pleases him that he's been given another opportunity to meet those people who he loves for the sake of Allah, and it impresses him and it pleases him as well to see that you brothers are having hirs, a desire of learning and getting benefit. So he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept it from him and to accept it from all of us.
ومن السنة أيها الأحبة أن الرجل إذا أحب قوما فعليه أن يخبرهم بأنهم أحبابه أو بأنه يحبهم في الله فإنني أحبكم في الله.
After that, Ikhwani, the Shaykh, he said, from the sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that we were taught, if a person loves a group of people or he loves people, then the sunnah is to inform those people of his feelings, his love for them. He says, so verily I want you all to know that I love all of you for the sake of Allah. And we say to the Shaykh, أحبه الله الذي أحبنا فيه.
كيف يعيش المسلم في الغرب؟ ذلكم هو العنوان الذي سوف تدور حوله المحاضرة كما طلب مني إخوانكم في هذا المسجد.
So the question is, how does the Muslim live in the West? And this is the title and the name of the lecture. And it's going to revolve around this issue, as this is what was requested from him by the brothers who brought him here.
وإنه لسؤال في غاية الأهمية.
He said, verily is a very important question. How does the Muslim live in the West?
وذلك أن المسلم إذا عاش في الغرب
And that's because if the Muslim, if he were to live in the West,
بطريقة صحيحة فإنه سوف يكون سببا في هداية الغرب إلى الله عز وجل.
if he were to live in the West in the correct way, if he were to do it in the correct way, he's going to be a reason why the people who live here will be guided to the way of Allah.
وسوف يعطي الناس جميعا صورة طيبة حضارية عن الإسلام العظيم وعن نبي الإسلام صلى الله عليه وسلم.
He said that Muslim who lives in the West in the correct way, he's going to display and give a good picture, a good image of Al-Islam and the modernity, the modern way of Al-Islam. And he's going to give the people a good idea and a good picture of our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
أما إن عاش بطريقة مخالفة للإسلام فإنه سوف يكون سببا في صد الناس عن الدين الحق.
But if he were to live in the West in the wrong way, then he's going to be a reason why people are going to be prevented from coming to and understanding the real true Islam.
وسوف يكون سببا في فتنة الأوروبيين عن دين الله عز وجل.
And he's going to be a fitna for the Europeans concerning the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal.
ألم تسمعوا دعاء أتباع إبراهيم وأتباع موسى حينما يقولون في دعائهم كما ذكر القرآن ربنا لا تجعلنا فتنة للذين كفروا.
Have you not heard the dua of Ibrahim and the dua of Musa salawatullahi wassalamuhu alayhima? When they were making the dua as been mentioned in the Qur'an, the dua was, "Oh our Lord, don't make us a fitna for those who disbelieve."
فقد كان أتباع الأنبياء حريصين أشد الحرص ألا يكون فتنة للذين كفروا فما هي فتنة الذين كفروا كما ذكر السادة المفسرون.
He said that it used to be in the past, the followers of the prophets, the followers of those prophets, they used to have an ardent desire, they used to have hirs, not to be a fitna for the people who disbelieved. And disbelievers, obviously the disbelief is in telling fitna itself, but they used to try their best not to be a fitna for the disbelievers.
لقد كان الكفار يعذبون أتباع موسى وأتباع إبراهيم من قبل فخشي أتباع إبراهيم وأتباع موسى أن الناس إذا رأوا أن الكفار يعذبون المؤمنين ويتغلبون عليهم فخشوا أن يظن الناس الآخرون أن الكفار هم على الحق وأن المؤمنين على الباطل وهكذا يرى الناس أن الغالب هو الذي على الحق وأن المغلوب هو على الباطل فخاف أتباع موسى وأتباع إبراهيم أن يظن الناس أن الكفار الغالبين على الحق وأن المؤمنين المغلوبين المعذبين على الباطل فبذلك يفتنوا ولا يدخلوا في الدين الحق الذي عليه المغلوبون والمعذبون.
In that supplication of the believers who were with Ibrahim and Musa, that they asked Allah not to allow them to be a fitna for the disbelievers, the Shaykh said the meaning of that was that those people who were disbelievers, who were oppressing the followers of Musa and the followers of Ibrahim, they made that dua because the way the people look at the issue is those who have the majority and those who have the power and those who are uppermost, when they oppress those who are lower and lesser in number and in status and stature, many of the people may think because the ones who are doing the oppression, they're stronger, they're more in number, the people may think that the haqq is with them. And the people may think that the ones who are being oppressed and the ones who are weak and the ones who are lowly, that they are the ones who are on the batil, on the falsehood. So this supplication of theirs was made so that the other people who were looking at this situation and judging the situation, they wouldn't think that Fir'aun, that they wouldn't think that those who were oppressing Musa, those who were oppressing Ibrahim, the truth was with them. And that the ones who were being oppressed, the falsehood was with them. So they made that supplication.
أيها الأخ الفاضل، إن أكبر جريمة ترتكبها في حق الإسلام وفي حق الغرب أن يصدر منك قول أو أن يصدر منك عمل فيقول الغربيون هذا هو الإسلام، دين باطل ودين الوحشية وليس بدين البشرية وليس بدين الحضارة.
He said that the biggest thing or mistake that an individual can make, from the biggest mistakes and the most severest mistakes, is for a Muslim to live here and he said something or he did something in which the non-Muslims heard it and they saw it. And based upon what that person said or what he did, that Muslim, the non-Muslim can come and say, you see this right here, what was said, what was done? This is a sign, this is an indication that the religion of Al-Islam is a religion that is false. The religion of Al-Islam, based upon what he did or what he said, is a religion that is wahshi. The people are wild, barbaric. And that the religion of Al-Islam is not the correct religion.
ولقد قال ربنا تبارك وتعالى والفتنة أشد من القتل.
And Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Qur'an about the fitna, He said, al-fitna is more severe than murder.
فلا تفتن الغربيين عن دينك وعن نبيك وعن ربك تبارك وتعالى.
So don't be a fitna, don't be a trial for the Western people, the people from Europe, from the West. Be a trial for them concerning the reality of your deen, the reality of your Nabi, the reality of what we stand for.
لا ينبغي أن تقيم سدا منيعا بسوء أفعالك يحول بينهم وبين سعادة الدنيا والآخرة.
Don't allow yourself to be a barrier that prevents them from getting the happiness that Al-Islam has to offer to the person who becomes a Muslim as a result of your bad actions and your bad behavior.
إذن كيف يعيش المسلم في الغرب؟
So how does the Muslim live in the West?
لابد أن يعيش وفق المنهج الإسلامي.
It is necessary for him to live in accordance to the methodology of Al-Islam, the Islamic methodology.
لابد أن يعيش كما عاش النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قرآنا.
He has to live like the Nabi lived, exist like the Nabi existed, and he existed as and like the Qur'an, like the Qur'an.
كان صلى الله عليه وسلم كما قالت عائشة قرآنا يمشي بين الناس.
He, as our mother Aisha described him, she said about him, he was like the Qur'an walking between the people, amongst the people.
ومن ثم فلكي تعيش في أوروبا مسلما فلابد أن تتعلم الإسلام الحق.
So in order to live in the West as a Muslim, you have to learn the true Islam.
إنه ليؤسفني أن الكثيرين من المسلمين في هذه البلاد لا يعلمون كثيرا عما هو معلوم من الدين بالضرورة.
The Sheikh said, it saddens me to see and to know that there are many Muslims who live here. They don't know some of the basic, well-known things that are known. What is known with durura, by necessity. This is the basics of the religion.
إنه لا يؤسفني أن الكثيرين لا يعلمون عن الله عز وجل ولا عن نبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم ما لا ينبغي أن يخفى على مسلم.
Some of them don't even know about Allah Azza wa Jal or about the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, issues that are not acceptable to be unknown to a Muslim. They don't know these issues, and it's not even acceptable for these issues to be unknown.
وإذن فإن البداية الصحيحة أيها الفضلاء أن نجتهد في طلب العلم الشرعي.
So in the beginning, the first thing about living in the West correctly is that we make ourselves those people who learn about the religion.
لابد أن نتعلم ذلك الإسلام الأول الذي كان على عهد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم.
We have to come to learn about the original Islam, the first Islam, the one that the Nabi was upon sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
ذلك الإسلام الذي يتميز بالتوسط والاعتدال.
That Islam that the Nabi was on, it was an Islam that was unique and distinct, and that it was described and it was in the middle and it was balanced.
ولقد قال البخاري رحمه الله في صحيحه باب القول قبل باب العلم قبل القول والعمل.
And the great scholar Imam al-Bukhari in his Sahih, the book of Hadith, he brought a chapter and he called that chapter the chapter of knowledge precedes statements and actions.
لابد أن نتعلم الإسلام الصحيح الذي كان على عهد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ولابد أن ننشر ذلك العلم بين الناس.
We have to learn first the Islam, the real Islam, authentic Islam that the Nabi was upon sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then after learning it, we have to spread it forth and make it prevalent amongst the people.
ذلك الإسلام المتميز بالتوسط والاعتدال ويسر الأحكام الشرعية.
The Islam of the first that the Nabi was upon is unique again in that it's in the middle course, it's just and it's beneficial.
لقد كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم حريصا أن يعلم الناس كلهم جميعا أن الإسلام دين التوسط والاعتدال وسماحة الأحكام ويسرها.
The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had an ardent desire, and he used to do a lot to make sure that the people understood and comprehended that the religion of Islam was a religion that was in the middle course, a religion that was balanced, fair and just, and a religion where the ahkam, the rules and the regulations, there is some samah, some masamaha. It's a religion of ease upon the people in the ahkam.
ويوم أن لعب الحبشة في مسجد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وجاءت عائشة تنظر إلى لعبهم قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لتعلم يهود أن في ديننا فسحة.
An example of the Nabi trying to show the people this is what happened when those people from Ethiopia, from Abyssinia, came to the masjid and they were playing around. They were enjoying themselves. He allowed our mother Aisha to come, and she saw what had happened. And he allowed her and gave her the time just to look and to observe what they were doing. And when he was questioned why, he told the people so that the Jews would know that in our religion there is playing, there is joy, there is ease. So he wanted them to see the ease of al-Islam.
ونستنبط من هذا الحديث أنه من السنة أن نظهر للناس جميعا أن الإسلام دين اليسر ودين السماحة.
So what is extracted from this story of Aisha and the Abyssinians is that from the Sunnah is to let other people know, let the people know that our religion is a religion that has in it easiness, enjoyment, and this type of action and behavior.
ولكن وللأسف الشديد فإن أقوال بعض الدعاة وأفعالهم تظهر للناس أن الإسلام دين التعنت، لا يستطيع أحد أن يعمل بهذا الدين أو أن يقوم بأحكامه.
But unfortunately, there are some people, based upon their statements and based upon their actions, they spread out to the people and they give the wider community the understanding that in our religion there's toughness, coarseness, difficulty, and that the religion of Islam is a religion that can only be practiced with difficulty.
لقد تسبب الكثيرون من المتدينين أن يعتقد بعض الناس أن هذا الإسلام صعب التطبيق ولا يمكن أن يعمل به الإنسان العادي.
Many people who are practicing Islam have been the cause and the reason, the effect that some non-Muslims have this opinion and this understanding that Islam is a religion that's difficult to practically practice. The tatbiq of Islam is difficult. People who practice the religion have been responsible for giving this message and understanding to people.
وإذن فكيف يعيش المسلم في الغرب؟ ينبغي أولا أن يتعلم الإسلام الصحيح بتوسطه واعتداله ويسر أحكامه.
So again, Ikhwani, how does the person live in the West? The Muslim lives in the West by learning his religion, so that he can show people that Islam is a religion that is predicated upon easiness, being in the middle, justice, fairness.
والأمر الثاني لكي يعيش بطريقة صحيحة في الغرب فعليه أن يقبل على الله عز وجل بعبادته تبارك وتعالى وحده لا شريك له.
The second thing is the person lives in this country by turning to Allah Azza wa Jal in his worship, not making any shirk with Allah Azza wa Jal, worshiping Allah alone wahdahu la sharika lahu.
ولقد قال صلى الله عليه وسلم فيما رواه البخاري في صحيحه عبادة في الهرج كهجرة إلي.
The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam concerning this point number 2, that you have to turn to Allah to live in the West. And Imam al-Bukhari brought a hadith in his Sahih in which the Nabi says sallallahu alayhi wasallam, a person who is worshiping in haraj, when there are problems, things going on, difficulty going on, the person who's doing ibadah during that time, the reward of doing ibadah is like making hijrah to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
فالعبادة أوقات الفتنة أجرها وثوابها يعادل هجرة إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
So the person who worships Allah and he does ibadah during the time of fitna, there's fitna in his environment where he's living, the reward of that is equal, that worship is equal to that individual making hijrah to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
وأي فتنة أكبر من الفتنة التي بين أيديكم وما خلفكم وعن أيمانكم وعن شمائلكم.
And which fitna is greater than the fitna that is in front of everybody here? What we're living is on our right, it's on our left. The fitna is surrounding us.
ما أكثر الفتن في هذه البلاد.
There are many fitnas, trials and tribulations in this country.
فتن الشهوات وفتن الشبهات.
The fitna of desires and the fitna of the ambiguous affairs that people are not understanding or they're misunderstanding.
كيف نواجه فتنة الشهوات وما أكثرها في هذه البلاد؟
How do we confront and deal with the fitna of desires in this country? And there are many.
إنما ذلك يكون باللجأ إلى الله عز وجل وبالاعتصام به تبارك وتعالى وبدعائه أن يثبتنا على الحق وعلى طريق مستقيم.
The way we do it is by returning to Allah Azza wa Jal, by having al-i'tisam, holding on to the rope that Allah has extended to us. It's also by making dua and asking Allah Azza wa Jal to give us thabat and to establish us.
لقد واجه يوسف عليه السلام فتنة النساء باللجأ إلى الله تبارك وتعالى.
The Nabi Yusuf, he was confronted with the fitna of An-Nisa, and the way that he dealt with it was by returning and going to Allah.
ودعا ربه أن يصرف عنه فتنة النساء.
He made a dua and asked Allah Azza wa Jal to take away from him the fitna of the women.
لقد استيقن أن فتنة النساء لا يصرفها إلا الله تبارك وتعالى.
He understood with clarity, with yaqeen, that no one can help him or help a person from the fitna of An-Nisa other than Allah, and therefore he made dua to Allah.
فاستجاب له ربه فصرف عنه كيدهن.
So Allah Azza wa Jal accepted his dua, and he did what Allah mentioned in the Qur'an. He took away the plan of the women against Yusuf.
ثم إن فتنة الشبهات التي تثار حول الإسلام في هذه البلاد كثيرة وكثيرة.
So that was the fitna of desire, shahwa. There's another fitna in this environment, that is the fitna of shubahat. Things that people understand the wrong way. He said that there are many shubahat that confront the people, things that, for an example, that people misunderstand about Islam.
كيف نواجه فتنة الشبهات؟
How do we confront and deal with this type of fitna of the misconceptions that people have?
إنما يكون ذلك بالعلم.
It is done with and by knowledge.
وإذن فإن الوسيلة الأولى لكي نعيش في الغرب بطريقة صحيحة هي أن نتعلم، والوسيلة الثانية أن نعبد الله تبارك وتعالى، وبالعلم وبالعبادة نواجه فتنة الشهوات والشبهات.
So, Ikhwani, what has been mentioned, how do we live in the West as Muslims? The first advice is to get knowledge of the true Islam, the first Islam. And number two, to turn to Allah Azza wa Jal in our worship. And in dealing with the fitna of desires, the shahwa, and the fitna of the shubahat, the way we deal with that is, again, knowledge and by worshiping Allah Azza wa Jal.
والأمر الثالث أيها الفضلاء أن نشتغل بالدعوة إلى الله تبارك وتعالى.
The third thing to live amongst these people and with these people is for us to become engaged and preoccupied with الدعوة إلى الله.
وللدعوة إلى الله منزلة كبيرة وشرف عظيم.
And giving da'wah to Allah, it has a exalted position, an exalted position, and a lot of reward connected to it.
إنك حينما تنشغل بالدعوة إلى الله تبارك وتعالى فإنما تتشبه بالله عز وجل، لأن الله تبارك وتعالى قد دعا عباده إلى التوحيد وإلى جنة عرضها كعرض السماء والأرض.
تشبه الذي يقبل هذه التشبه هكذا. The Sheikh said if a person were to engage himself in a da'wah, he would be obeying Allah Azza wa Jal. He would be doing what Allah Azza wa Jal commanded him to do, because Allah Azza wa Jal has commanded that people give da'wah to him, call his creation to him.
فصفات الله عز وجل على قسمين اثنين.
The Sheikh used the word, he said that if a person gives da'wah to Allah, he would resemble Allah. He would resemble Allah in this da'wah. So he wants to explain what he means by to resemble Allah. He said that the characteristics of Allah are of two types.
فهنالك صفات اتصف الله عز وجل بها ودعا الناس إلى أن يتصفوا بها.
There are some characteristics that Allah has, He has them, and He called the people, He invited the people, He commanded the people to also bring on board and to have those characteristics within themselves.
فربنا رحيم ودعا الناس أن يكونوا رحماء.
Allah is Rahim, and He told the people that they should also have rahmah as well.
وقال صاحب الشريعة صلى الله عليه وسلم ارحموا من في الأرض يرحمكم من في السماء.
The Nabi told the people sallallahu alaihi wasallam, have mercy on the people in the earth, and the one who is over the heavens, he will have mercy upon you.
والله عز وجل يغفر ويعفو وأمرنا كذلك أن نعفو عمن أخطأ في حقنا وأن نغفر.
Allah forgives and Allah pardons. And he also told us that we should forgive and we should pardon those people who made mistakes towards us.
وهنالك صفات لا يجوز لنا أن نتصف بها.
And then the second type of characteristic that Allah has are the characteristics that are exclusively, wholly, solely for Him.
فالله عز وجل قد اتصف بعلم الغيب ولا يجوز لنا أن ندعي علم الغيب.
Allah Azza wa Jal, from His characteristics is He's the only one who has knowledge of the unseen. So the person who's giving dawah, in this case, he can't claim that he has knowledge of the unseen.
وكذلك فإن الله تبارك وتعالى اتصف بالكبرياء ولا يجوز لأحد من الناس أن يتشبه بهذه الصفة وأن يتكبر على خلق الله عز وجل.
Allah Azza wa Jal, He has a characteristic of al-kibr, al-kibr. And this is exclusively for Allah. As for the creation, the da'i other than Him, he doesn't have the right to deal with the people with kibr, with arrogance. It's not permissible for him. It's exclusively for Allah.
فالله تبارك وتعالى كما ذكر القرآن والله يدعو إلى دار السلام.
And Allah, as He mentioned in the Qur'an, Allah, He invites people to the Dar as-Salam.
وأمرنا كذلك أن ندعو إلى دار السلام.
And He ordered us as well to encourage and to invite and to give da'wah to the Dar as-Salam.
وفي القرآن الكريم
In the Qur'an,
يا أيها الذين آمنوا استجيبوا لله وللرسول إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم.
Allah said, O you who believe, answer the invitation of Allah and His Messenger when they call you to, when they invite you to that which will give you life.
فيكفيك شرفا أيها الداعية إلى الله أنك تقوم بوظيفة أو تتصف بصفة اتصف الله عز وجل بها.
So the point here is, how does a Muslim live? By giving da'wah ila Allah. And if he gives da'wah to Allah, it's a clear enough proof of your honor, of your position, your noble position. Because in doing so, you have taken on board a characteristic that Allah has about Himself.
إن الداعية إلى الله يقوم بوظيفة الأنبياء.
And also, from the benefits of giving da'wah, from the virtues of it, is that if we give da'wah while we're here, we become people who are resembling the prophets.
ألم تسمعوا قول ربكم تبارك وتعالى يا محمد قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني.
Have you brothers not heard the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Qur'an when He said, Ya Muhammad, Allah said to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell the people, this is my way. I call to Allah with knowledge, with clarity. I do that, and those who follow me also do that.
فأتباع محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم على الحقيقة إنما يدعون إلى الله عز وجل على بصيرة وعلم.
So those people who truly follow the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his true followers, they give da'wah and they call the people based upon knowledge and clarity.
فلا يقل أحدكم إن الدعوة ليست من وظيفتي.
Let not any of you say da'wah and giving da'wah, it's not my job.
ولا يقل أحدكم إن الدعوة لها رجال متخصصون فيها.
And don't anyone say a da'wah ila Allah, it has its special people who are responsible for it.
لقد شاء الله عز وجل أن يكون محمد خاتم الأنبياء.
Allah has allowed Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be the seal of all of the prophets.
لكن الله تبارك وتعالى لكي يقيم الحجة على الناس أمر أتباع محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم بالدعوة إلى الإسلام.
Allah chose Muhammad to be the khatim of the anbiya. But at the same time, Allah Azza wa Jal made his followers also responsible for establishing the argument against the creation, showing that it's the responsibility of people of this ummah to give da'wah to Allah's creation.
لكن الدعوة أيها الفضلاء إذا لم تكن بفقه وبعلم وبحسب القواعد والضوابط الشرعية فإن الدعاة يكونون على خطر عظيم.
But you noble brothers, we must know that a da'wah to Allah, it has to have comprehension, and it has to have fiqh, it has to have fiqh, comprehension, understanding, and it has to have knowledge, and you have to have some idea about the rules and regulations, the principles, the qawa'id, the principles of Islam, and the dawabit, the rules and regulations of the religion in order for it to be effective.
ولا بأس أن نقف عند بعض هذه القواعد العلمية حتى ندعو إلى الله عز وجل على بصيرة وعلى حسب منهاج محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم.
So we want to take this opportunity, inshallah, to mention some of these principles that we need to know when it comes to giving da'wah in Allah in accordance to the methodology that was the prophetic methodology of Al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
القاعدة الأولى
The first principle that we need to know about giving da'wah in Allah,
الدعوة بالأفعال قبل الأقوال,
is that we give da'wah based upon our actions before giving da'wah using the tongue and the statements.
فقبل أن تدعو الناس بلسانك لابد أن تدعوهم إلى الله عز وجل بأفعالك الطيبة وأخلاقك العالية.
Before we can call people to our religion, before we can do that with our tongues, telling them about our religion, we have to first exemplify and display our da'wah in our actions.
قبل أن تدعو الناس إلى تطبيق الإسلام لابد أن تطبقه في نفسك أولا.
Before we can invite people to practice Islam, we ourselves have to practice Islam first.
لابد أن تكون قدوة للناس وأسوة حسنة.
We have to be an example for the people, a good example.
فإن الناس يتأثرون بالأفعال والسلوكيات قبل أن يتأثروا بالأقوال والكلمات.
The people, ikhwani, they are affected by the people's behavior and the people's actions before they're affected by what they hear that they have to say.
وها هنا كلمة طيبة لابن القيم رحمه الله.
And here, in this regard, comes a beautiful word from the great scholar in al-Islam, al-Imam Ibn al-Qayyim.
فيقول في كلمة ذهبية.
He said in this golden statement of his,
علماء السوء جلسوا على أبواب الجنة.
The scholars of evil, the evil scholars, they sat at the doors of al-Jannah.
يدعون الناس إليها بأقوالهم ويصدون عنها بأفعالهم.
They are inviting the people to al-Jannah with their tongues, but they are stopping the people from going into the doors of al-Jannah by their actions.
كلما قالت ألسنتهم هلموا إليها تعالوا إلى الجنة قالت أعمالهم لا تصدقونهم فلو كان خيرا لكانوا أول عامل به.
Their tongues are saying to the people at the doors of al-Jannah, hey you people, come and enter into the Jannah, come. But their actions are telling the people, while their tongues are saying, come into the Jannah. Based on what they're saying, but their actions are telling the people, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. Because if they were truthful and if they really believed in what they were saying, they would have been the first people to do it instead of calling you, and they're not doing it.
وبالتجربة أيها الفضلاء فإن الناس لا تتقبل من المتدينين بعض الأفعال التي يمكن أن يتقبلوها من غيرهم.
Ikhwani, from experience, some of the people don't accept from practicing people, religious people, they don't accept from them certain things that normally they would have accepted from them if the actions were consistent with what they were saying.
فالناس يرون غير المتدينين يخطئون ويقومون بأفعال مشينة، أما إذا رأوا متدينا وقع ولو في شيء يسير قالوا أنت تفعل ذلك وأنت متدين.
He said that the people in the society, they see people who are not practicing, they see them doing all kinds of evil things.
نحن في بيوتنا
They're doing evil things that are not acceptable. They're not acceptable what they're doing. But they don't say anything because they're not practicing. But when those people see practicing people doing similar things, even if it's just a fraction of what they were doing, something small, they will say, hey, you people are practicing and you're doing this and you're doing that.
نحن في بيوتنا إذا صدر منا شيء يغضب الزوجة فإنها تقول أنت الملتزم وأنت الذي تدعي أنك على السنة وأنت تزعم أنك طالب علم.
Like some of us with our wives, inside of our own homes, in the privacy of our homes, you may do something to your wife that she didn't like. She's going to say to you, you did such and such a thing, and you're claiming that you're on the sunnah, and you're claiming that the truth is with you, and you're claiming that you're a student of knowledge.
فالدعوة إذن بالأفعال قبل الأقوال.
So ikhwani, dawah, it is with our actions before our statements.
والقاعدة الثانية
Concerning a dawah and the principles of dawah. The first one, actions precede the statements. The second principle,
البشارة قبل النظارة، وبتعبير آخر الترغيب قبل الترهيب.
is that we give people glad tidings before we give them warnings. And another way we can say it is that we speak in a way that is positive. We encourage the people. We speak good things before saying those things that frighten the people.
إن بعض الناس حينما يدعو إلى الله فإنه يبدأ بتخويف الناس وترهيبهم. أنتم سوف تدخلون النار وأنتم سوف تأتيكم عقوبة من الرب تبارك وتعالى.
Some people, when they give da'wah to Allah, they start off with using those things that are frightening and fearing the people. They come out and they say, you people, you're going to enter to the hellfire. You're going to be punished by Allah. And this is the initial point of da'wah with some people.
ومن تأمل آيات الذكر الحكيم فإنه يجد أن الله عز وجل إذا جمع بين البشارة والنظارة فإنه يبدأ بالبشارة أولا، فمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم كما في آيات كثيرة بشير ونذير.
The Shaykh, he said, for the individual who contemplates the Qur'an, he reads the Qur'an, he studies the Qur'an and the method of the Qur'an, he will find in the ayat of the Qur'an in which Allah Azza wa Jal combined giving glad tidings, in the same ayat also comes warn them as well. If the glad tidings, the bushra, is mentioned with the warning, you'll find in the ayat of the Qur'an that Allah Azza wa Jal starts off with the bushra. For an example, many ayat describe the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and these two superlatives in the same ayat. Allah said that Muhammad is a bashir and a nadhir, a giver of glad tidings and a warning. So glad tidings came first.
ولقد قال صلى الله عليه وسلم من قال هلك الناس فهو أهلكهم، يعني إذا قال الداعية للناس أنتم سوف تهلكون وأنتم سوف ينزل عليكم سخط الله عز وجل، وبأفعالكم سوف تضيق عليكم الدنيا، فإن الله عز وجل يبدأ به فيكون عليه التضييق ويكون عليه العذاب.
The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam in Mujtaba, he said in an authentic hadith, for the one who's given dawah, he said, if a person says, you people are destroyed, then he in fact is the most destroyed out of all of them. And it's going to start with him. The Sheikh said the meaning of that, if a person says to the people, you are destroyed, the meaning of it, if a person is giving dawah to people and he says to the people, you people are going to be punished, and you people are not going to be successful. Allah Ta'ala is going to punish you, and the dunya and your life is going to be restricted and tough and difficult. This is what he starts out with, and this is how he is. Then what had happened based upon this hadith is that he's going to be the first one who's going to taste that because he said it.
فعلينا أن نرغب الناس بأن نقول لهم إن الإسلام يكفل لكم الحياة الطيبة والعيشة الهنية والسعادة في الآخرة.
So what we have to do is let the people know that Islam has enticed them and encouraged them to come to get the nice life, to come and enjoy the happiness that life has to offer when a person is a Muslim.
حينما تدعو أبنائك ينبغي أن ترغبهم أولا قبل أن تخوفهم وقبل أن تنذرهم، فلتقل يا ولدي إن فعلت كذا فسوف أعطيك كذا وكذا، وترغب في الولد قبل أن تخوفه وقبل أن تنذره إذا لم يفعل فسوف يكون عليه عقوبة كذا وكذا.
An example of this, ikhwani, in giving dawah is our children. When we're dealing with our children, those of us who are parents, in dealing with them, the first thing that we should emphasize is encouraging the child, making a targheeb, and telling him, if you do this, I'm going to give you that. If you do this good thing, then this will happen. And you encourage him continuously first, and you concentrate on that before you start dealing with the other one, where you start making him afraid. If you do that, then this is going to happen to you bad. Or if you do that, then the result is going to be this. So we encourage them to do good, targhib before tarhib.
ليس معنى ذلك ألا نذكر النظارة أو الترهيب أبدا، ولكنني أقول بوضوح فلنبدأ بالبشارة ولنكثر منها قبل الترهيب وقبل التخويف.
The Sheikh said, listen, I'm not saying here that we don't warn people or our children. We have to warn people. But what I say here, and I say it clearly with clarity, is that we should start off with giving glad tidings. We should start off with encouraging people, making them encouraged to do things.
القاعدة الثالثة التوسط والاعتدال في الدعوة.
The third principle that we should know about when it comes to a dawah is we have to be in the middle when it comes to a dawah. Be in the middle.
فحينما ندعو الناس إلى الإسلام فعلينا أن ندعوهم إلى الإسلام التوسطي المعتدل، لا إلى الغلو ولا إلى التطرف.
When we encourage and invite people to come to Al-Islam, we should invite them to the Islam which is in the middle course and the balanced way. Not inviting them to the extremes and what is overboard.
إن بعض الدعاة يدعون الناس إلى الغلو في التكفير أو الغلو في التفسيق والتبديع والتجريح، وهذا لا ينبغي أبدا.
Some people who give dawah, they give dawah ikhwani, and they call people to al-ghulu, going overboard. They give dawah to saying this one is a fasiq and he's a fasiq. They give dawah to he's an innovator and that one is an innovator. The Sheikh said, making this the object of your dawah is not correct.
القاعدة الثالثة أم الرابعة؟ التدرج في الدعوة.
Point number 5, as we're living here, giving dawah. Point number 4 is that we give dawah with a tadarruj, in steps and stages.
يقول صلى الله عليه وسلم لمعاذ حينما بعثه إلى اليمن.
Our Nabi said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to his companion Mu'adh when he sent him to Yemen.
إنك ستأتي قوما أهل كتاب فليكن أول ما تدعوهم إليه التوحيد، وفي رواية شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله، فإنهم أطاعوك فأعلمهم أن الله افترض عليهم 5 صلوات في اليوم والليلة، فإنهم أطاعوك فأعلمهم أن الله عز وجل فرض عليهم صدقة تؤخذ من أغنيائهم وترد على فقرائهم.
So an example, ikhwani, of calling people based upon degrees and stages, that we call the people to Islam in degrees and stages. It comes to us that this is from the Sunnah. When the Nabi sent Mu'adh to Yemen, he said to him, you're about to go to a people and they're from Ahlul Kitab. So make sure that the very first thing that you invite them to is make Allah one, the Tawheed. And in another narration, invite them to the Shahada, La ilaha illallah. He said, if they accept that from you, if they take that and accept it, then after that, tell them that Allah has made it an obligation upon them to pray 5 times every day and a night, 5 prayers. And then if they accept that from you after that, let them know that Allah Azza wa Jal has made it an obligation that they give from their money the zakat. So that goes to show there is steps and stages.
لقد نزلت الأحكام الشرعية على تدرج عبر سنوات طويلة. Another point that we should consider about this issue is the ahkam in al-Islam. From the time that the Prophet started ﷺ until the end of his life, the ahkam, they came down in stages. فأكثر الأحكام الشرعية نزلت في المدينة بعد أن ربى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أصحابه على العقيدة الصحيحة وعلى حب أحكام الله عز وجل في مكة طيلة 13 سنة.
The majority of the rules and regulations, the ahkam in al-Islam, the majority of them, they came down on the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam after he migrated and he found himself in Medina. So all of that time for Mecca, and then when he went to Medina, all of that time he was cultivating his companions and preparing them so that when it was time later on in the latter stages, those rules and regulations came down and they were the majority at that time.
وكما قالت عائشة لو أن القرآن أول ما نزل قال لا تزنوا لقال العرب لن نترك الزنا.
Our mother Aisha, she said in this regard, if al-Islam immediately came and told the Arabs at that time, don't make zina, their response would have been to the Qur'an, to this religion, we're never going to leave off zina.
ولو نزل أول الدعوة لا تشربوا الخمر لقال العرب لن نترك شرب الخمر.
Aisha, our mother, she said, if the Qur'an came down and said to the Arabs of that time right away, don't drink khamr, they would have said, we're not going to leave off our khamr.
فعليك بالتدرج مع المدعوين.
So this goes to show, ikhwani, that we, giving dawah, this principle number 4, is that you have to go in stages with the person who you're inviting.
كما تدرج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مع أصحابه.
As our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam did in regards to his Sahaba radiyallahu anhum ajma'in.
هل تعلم أن الصلاة كانت في بدء الإسلام ركعتين ولم تكن 5 صلوات في اليوم والليلة.
Did you people know that in the beginning of Islam, in the beginning of Islam, they used to pray salat only 2 rak'ah, not 4, was 2 rak'ah. And also in the beginning of Islam, it wasn't 5 prayers that they used to make. It was less than that.
وأول ما نزل الصيام كان صيام يوم واحد يوم عاشوراء، وبعد ذلك نزل صيام شهر رمضان.
And the siyam is the same way. In the beginning of Islam, the community only had to fast 1 day, and that was the day of the 10th of Muharram, Ashura. And then later on, the obligation of fasting Ramadan came.
أتعجب من بعض الإخوة والأخوات.
I'm finding it weird, strange. It's strange what we see from some brothers and sisters.
حينما يدعون امرأة فأول ما يأمرونها به أن تنتقب وأن تغطي وجهها.
For an example, some people call a girl to Islam and they're giving dawah to this individual. And the very first thing that they start off with in addressing that person they're inviting to Islam is, you have to wear the niqab. You have to cover up your face.
وما من شك أن ذلك يصد النساء عن الدخول في الدين الحق.
And no doubt, by starting with that issue, if you start with that issue and you tell women in this society about that issue, it's going to be a barrier to prevent them from coming in Islam.
والدعوة إلى إطلاق اللحية للأسف الشديد تكون بداية دعوة بعض الناس الآخرين إلى الله عز وجل.
Some people, when they give people a dawah like this girl in the niqab, some people, they'll give dawah to a person and invite a person to Islam. The very first thing we start to talk about is, leave your beard, leave your beard.
وهكذا أيها الإخوة فعلينا أن نتدرج. فأولا ندعو إلى عبادة الله عز وجل وإلى توحيد الله وإلى المحافظة على الصلوات، حتى وإن كانت المرأة ظلت فترة متبرجة، وندعوها إلى الحشمة بعض الشيء، ثم بعد ذلك ندعوها إلى الحجاب الكامل.
So ikhwani, the point of all of this kalam and these examples is for us to understand and to comprehend what we mean by all of these examples about the niqab, about the lihya and this thing. What we mean by that is, we have to understand that in giving dawah ilallah, we have to go in stages and steps, and we have to deal with people who we're inviting based upon stages and steps. It may be that there is a lady who becomes a Muslim and she spends some time not wearing hijab or not wearing the proper hijab. He said, no, what we have to do is focus on those other issues, like explaining to her about Allah, explaining to her about those issues that will help her to embrace that issue of al-hijab. And you teach her according to the important affairs in that order.
والقاعدة الخامسة الارتباط بالحق وعدم التعلق بالأشخاص.
And point number 5, in giving dawah ilallah, living in the West, is that we should connect ourselves to the truth. And we shouldn't connect ourselves as such to individuals or personalities.
حينما تقوم بالدعوة إلى الله عز وجل فاربط الناس بالإسلام وبالإسلام وحده.
When you start to make dawah ilallah to al-Islam, connect the people who you're calling, connect them to Allah, connect them to al-Islam.
لا تربط الناس بشخص معين أو بجماعة معينة.
Don't connect the people to one specific individual, and don't connect the people to a group of individuals.
لا تربط الناس بحزب معين أو بداعية معين.
Don't connect the people to a particular party or to a particular individual.
قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله، ليس إلى إمام بعينه، إلا أن يكون النبي عليه السلام، ليس إلى جماعة، ليس إلى حزب، بل إلى الله.
Allah mentioned the proof of this point, connecting the people to Allah into the religion of Islam is the statement that Allah told the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say, this is my way. I call to Allah. I call to Allah. Connecting the people to Allah. And not connecting the people to a particular imam other than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not connecting the people to a particular group, a jama'ah or a hizb, a particular party.
لا يجوز لنا أن نربط الناس برئيس حزب معين أو بمرشد جماعة معينة.
It's not permissible for us to connect the people to a group of people who are our brothers to the president of a particular group. He's in charge of a particular group. This is something that's not permissible.
بل نربط الناس بنصوص الإسلام قرآنا وسنة.
We connect the people to the texts of Islam, the Qur'an and the authentic Sunnah.
فإن الجماعات والأحزاب والأشخاص يخطئون كثيرا لكن النصوص لا تخطئ.
Because why? The groups, the Islamic groups, the Islamic personalities, the Muslims, they make mistakes. And he said they make a lot of mistakes. So if we connect the people to them, it's going to be mistakes. But the Quran and the Sunnah, there are no mistakes.
القاعدة السادسة.
Number 6.
الحرص على اجتماع الكلمة ووحدة الصف والبعد عن التفرق.
Is that in giving da'wah to Allah, we have to make it our business in giving da'wah to Allah that we concentrate on being united, being together, not being divided, and being cooperative amongst ourselves.
في طريق الدعوة إلى الله عز وجل لا ينبغي أن نثير ما يفرقنا ويمزق شملنا.
In giving da'wah to Allah, it's not acceptable for us to entertain those issues that are going to divide us. Nor is it permissible for us to entertain and to introduce those issues that don't allow us to come together.
ينبغي أن يحافظ كل داعية على وحدة الأمة الإسلامية.
So every single person who's given da'wah, every Muslim, is his responsibility to be engaged in trying to secure, maintain, and take care of the unity of the Muslims.
فإن بعض الناس حينما يدعو عددا معينا من الناس فإنه يقوم بتكوين حزب أو جماعة وما من شك أن ذلك مما يزيد في فرقة الأمة.
So there are some people when they give da'wah and they focus on a group of people only. And they become a group within themselves. He said this is something that no doubt it increases the disunity that's already present.
في طريق الدعوة إلى الله لا ينبغي أن نقول أقوالا قد تفرق جماعتنا وقد تشتت شملنا.
In giving a da'wah to Allah, we should be careful of saying those words that are going to cause our community to be divided. That's going to create this type of division amongst ourselves.
والقاعدة الأخيرة.
The last qa'idah, the last point.
أن الشريعة جاءت بتحصيل المصالح وتكميلها وتقليل المفاسد ودرئها.
Ikhwani, from the goals and the objectives of Al-Islam is that Al-Islam came to increase the masalih, the benefits for the people. It came to increase it, and it came to minimize things that are problematic, things that are going to make life difficult for us. So from the goals and the objectives of the religion is to increase the benefit, the masalih, and to decrease the evil and the harmful matters.
في طريق الدعوة إلى الله عز وجل بل في حياتك اليومية قد تقابل المصالح والمفاسد أو الأرباح والخسائر فكيف تتعامل معها؟
In your da'wah ila Allah, when you give da'wah to Allah, and in your everyday lives as well, we are confronted with a lot of challenges. things that are happening within our lives, we're responsible to get the most benefit or to reduce the harm. How do we profit? How do we take advantage and profit from what's going on?
فإذا قابلتك مصالح متعددة ومنافع متعددة فحاول أن تجمع كل هذه المصالح والمنافع وأن تحصل عليها كلها.
If you're presented in your life, a lot of benefits are coming your way, a lot of opportunities in your everyday life. You have a lot of options, a lot of good. The Sheikh said first you should try to get all of them. If you can, then bring it all on board and take all of it.
فإذا لم تستطع وكان لابد أن تأخذ بعض المنافع أو المصالح وأن تترك البعض الآخر فماذا تفعل؟
And if you can't get everything, you only could get some of them. You are faced with a situation where you can get some of them and you have to leave others. Now, if this is the case, what should you do?
فإذا كان أمامك مصلحتان كبرى وصغرى فبطبيعة الحال عليك أن تأخذ بالمصلحة الكبرى وأن تترك المصلحة الصغرى.
In your dawah, in your everyday life, you're confronted with an opportunity where two positive things come your way. One of them is bigger than the other one. The one is more beneficial, more gonna help you. And this one is less, but it's still good. But you can't take both of them. What do? He said, naturally, you're going to take the thing that has the most benefit and you're going to leave the one that has less benefit in your choice.
وإذا قابلتك مفاسد متعددة أو خسارات متعددة فالخطوة الأولى أن تدفعها عنك كلها أجمعها.
And the opposite of that holds true. If you're confronted with a lot of evil and a lot of harms, and they're all coming at you, if you have the ability to put all of them to the side, to avoid all of them, then you have to avoid all of them.
الخطوة الثانية أنك لا تستطيع أن تدفعها عنك كلها أجمعها بل لابد أن تقع في بعض هذه المفاسد والخسارات.
And the second step is that you can't push them all away. You're going to fall into some of them. Not as your choice, you just don't have a choice. So you're going to fall into some of them. So what should you do? What should you do in this case?
فلا بأس حينئذ أن تقع في المفاسد القليلة بحيث تدفع عنك الخسارات الكبيرة والمفاسد العظيمة.
The Sheikh said in this case, the first step, push them all away. Second step, you're going to fall into some of them. So what do? The one that is the least harmful on you, the one that's the least harmful, that's the one you're going to fall into. And the one that's more harm on you, that's the one you're going to push away opposite from the masalih.
لكن المشكلة إذا كان هنالك مفاسد ومصالح.
Now the real challenge, the real problem is not the first one, a lot of good, a lot of evil. The real challenge is when you're confronted with good coming your way and evil simultaneously.
فالأمر ها هنا على 3 مراحل.
Now concerning this, good and bad, you deal with that in 3 steps, 3 ways.
فإذا كانت المصلحة كبيرة بحيث إنها تترجح على المفسدة فعليك أن تأخذ بالمصلحة وفي سبيل حتى وإن وقعت في مفسدة أقل من هذه المصلحة.
If the benefit was a big one and you have the ability to take that, you take it, even if it caused you to fall into something that was a small, harmful, evil thing. In this first step, you take the maslaha al-kubra, the biggest benefit.
وأحيانا تكون المصلحة تساوي المفسدة أو أن تكون المصلحة أقل من المفسدة فحين ذلك تطبق القاعدة التي يحفظها كثيرون منكم: درء المفاسد يقدم على جلب المصالح.
If the evil thing, the second step, the evil is bigger than the benefit. The evil is bigger. In that first case, the good is bigger. You take that and you leave that one, even if you fall into some other things. Second step, the good is lesser. The evil is bigger. In this case, we have to do the principle that many people have memorized from amongst you, where the scholars of Islam said, pushing away the evil takes precedence over bringing to yourself the benefit. So you have an evil that is bigger than the benefit. You want the benefit, but because the evil is bigger, the scholar said in this principle, getting rid of the evil, eradicating the evil is what you have to do in this case. It takes precedence over bringing that benefit and acquiring that benefit in this case.
وإليكم بعض الأمثلة التي توضح بعض هذه القواعد.
And I'm going to give you some examples, inshallah, that will help you to understand these principles.
ففي صحيحي البخاري ومسلم أن أعرابيا بال في مسجد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
An example of that is the Bedouin man who urinated in the masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
فقام الصحابة بنهره وبنهيه عن البول في المسجد.
The companions stood up when he did this and they tried to prevent him from urinating.
فنهاهم صلى الله عليه وسلم وأمرهم أن يتركوه حتى ينتهي من بوله ثم يقوم ويصب على هذا البول دلوا من الماء حتى تذهب تلك النجاسة.
Then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam stopped his companions from stopping him, and he told them, let the man finish. Let him finish. So the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam told them to leave the man, and he continued to urinate, and that dirt, that najasa was going in the masjid with the knowledge and the permission of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
فالبول في المسجد ضرر ومفسدة.
So urinating in the masjid is harmful and it is evil.
لكن المفسدة الأعظم أن هذا الرجل يحبس بوله فيتضرر في بدنه.
But the harm of not allowing the man to urinate was bigger than the harm of the urine going on the masjid. If he held in the urine, he can hurt himself.
فمفسدة بول الأعرابي في المسجد أقل من مفسدة الضرر في بدنه ولا شك.
So in this case, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has an option. Let the man urinate in the masjid, and that's bad, it's nasty, and it's harmful. Or make the man hold in the urine, which is also a problem that's going to hurt his body. The Sheikh said here, allowing the man to urinate and to release himself is a lesser evil and harm than what happened with the najasa on the masjid.
ثم إن بول هذا الرجل في مكان واحد ولو أن النبي عليه السلام ما نهر أصحابه لقام هذا الرجل خوفا من الأصحاب فكان بوله في أكثر من مكان في المسجد لأنه سوف يهرب أو سوف يركض ومن ثم يتناثر البول في عدة أجزاء في المسجد.
Another point that is to be considered, and we're talking about being fronted with good, evil, big evil, small evil. Another thing is to consider is that this man, when the Nabi told the companions, hey, let him finish. By doing that, the man was able to urinate in one specific area. Yarhamakallah. So it's a problem. It's a problem that he's urinating in one area. But that problem is lesser in severity than if the companions went and they were going to get him. The man gets scared. He starts running around away from the people. He's afraid of the people, and he starts to urine all over the place. And as a result, the urine over here is bad. but it's lesser than what would have happened if the Nabi would have allowed them to stop him. The problem would have spread to other parts of the masjid.
ثم إن هنالك مفسدة أعظم، وهي أن هذا الأعرابي لو أن النبي عليه السلام لم ينهر أصحابه لنفر هذا الأعرابي من الإسلام، لكن هذا الأعرابي لما رأى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يأمر أصحابه بأن يتركوه وبأن يقضي بوله، لا شك أن إيمانه قد زاد ولا شك أنه ثبت على الإسلام.
Another point, Ikhwani, concerning this issue is that there is a bigger problem than all what was mentioned. The first problem is if he hold the urine in, it's going to hurt his body. The second problem is if they grabbed him in it, he's going to spread the urine all around. So in both cases, the Nabi managed to make the man fall into the lesser problem. It's a lesser problem for him to let the bowl out, the urine out, than to hold it in. It's a lesser problem to keep it here in this space than to make it all over the place. The Sheikh said there's a third problem, and it's the biggest one. And that problem is, if the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't say to his companions, stop, let him finish. If he didn't say that, and they jumped on him and they stopped him, and they were tough with him, that could have been a reason why the man would leave Islam. But when he saw that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam took the time out to say, no, let him do it. And the way that he dealt with the man, the way that he dealt, it pressed the man. The man's iman, his faith in Allah, it goes up as a result of that.
ولقد أراد صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يقوم بمصلحة كبيرة في الكعبة شرفها الله، لكنه خاف من حصول مفسدة عظيمة وعظيمة جدا.
And another example like this incident, this is one of the many incidents of the Nabi confronted with how to deal with the situation, is that there was a maslaha, a benefit, a big benefit to do something at the Kaaba, a big benefit. But let's see how he dealt with that issue.
لقد أراد أن يجعلها على قواعد إبراهيم وأن يلصق بابها في الأرض، بحيث كما قال عليه السلام لعائشة: فإن قومك رفعوا الباب لكي يدخلوا من شاءوا ويمنعوا من شاءوا. فأراد النبي عليه السلام أن يلصق الباب في الأرض وأن يجعل للكعبة بابا آخر، بحيث يدخل الناس من باب ويخرجوا من الباب الآخر. لكن النبي عليه السلام لم يقم بهذه المصلحة، لأنه خاف على العرب أنهم لا يتحملون هذا، بل إن بعضهم إذا رأى محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم يغير شيئا من الكعبة فلربما ارتد عن الإسلام.
There's a good thing that the Nabi wanted to do. It's a maslaha al-kubra, a big thing that was beneficial. The non-Muslims of Quraysh, they took the Kaaba, and unlike how it was with Ibrahim, during the time of Ibrahim, on the Kaaba, there was a door that was on the earth, on the ground. That's how it was when Ibrahim put the Kaaba and built the Kaaba. Quraysh came and they put the door up. They put it up off of the ground, where it is now, so that only the people who they wanted can go in and come out. When it was on the ground, anyone can go in, anyone could come out. But they put it up so that they would be in control of who's going to enter, who's going to exit. When the Nabi conquered Mecca sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he saw this, he wanted to bring that Kaaba to the original correct place, maslaha, benefit. But he didn't do that. He didn't do that because had he done it, he thought, if he would have touched the Kaaba in any way, tamper with it in any way, in the mind, the psyche of Quraysh, he thought they wouldn't be able to handle that he touched the Kaaba. So he left that beneficial thing and he didn't do it at all.
وأختم هذه الأمثلة بمثال من ابن تيمية رحمه الله، إذ كان مع أصحابه في بعض الغزوات مع أو في بعض الحروب مع التتار.
The Sheikh Abu Abdul Rahman Hafidhullah Ta'ala Wasallamahullah min kulli su'un wa makruhin. He said, I want to complete this talk right now by giving the last example of what happened with Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah Rahimahullah Ta'ala when he was making a war and he was fighting with the Tartars.
إذ رأى تلاميذه جماعة من التتار يشربون الخمر فهموا أن يقوموا بنهيهم عن هذا المنكر فأمرهم رحمه الله ألا ينهوهم عن شرب الخمر.
Ibn Taymiyyah, when he was out in the frontiers and they were fighting, he had his students with him and some people from the Tatars were with them as well. The students in the army of Ibn Taymiyyah saw those people drinking khamr and they're part of the army, their army. So his students wanted to go and to stop them from drinking that khamr.
فقال رحمه الله إن الله عز وجل حرم الخمر لأنها تصد عن ذكر الله وعن الصلاة وهؤلاء إن نهيتموهم عن شرب الخمر فسوف يفيقوا ويقتلوا أهل الإسلام.
Shaykh al-Islam, he told his students, you want to go and stop these people from drinking khamr? The reason why Allah prohibited the consumption of khamr is because khamr, when you drink it, it will stop you from the dhikr of Allah and from the salah. So if you stop these people from drinking, they're going to wake up out of their stupor. They're going to wake up. And once they wake up, because they're not drunk anymore and intoxicated, once they do that, they're going to start killing the people of al-Islam.
لقد تعمدت أن أكثر من هذه القواعد لا سيما قواعد المصالح والمفاسد لأن الدعوة في بلاد الغرب بل إن حياتكم عموما في بلاد الغرب تقوم على الأرباح والخسائر أو على المصالح والمفاسد.
The Sheikh said that he wanted to give a lot of examples about these principles. A lot of good, a lot of evil, more good, less evil. He wanted to give a lot of examples like the Kaaba, like the man who urinated. He wanted to give a lot of examples because in our dawah and even in our life, our everyday lives here, we're confronted every day with these issues. Things where there's an opportunity to get good and profit, and things where there's an opportunity to get the opposite of that, to problems to come to you, and we have to make decisions. He said he wanted to give us a lot of examples to help us to understand this issue.
كيف يعيش المسلم في الغرب بعلم وعبادة ودعوة إلى الله وفق الضوابط والقواعد العلمية التي سمعتم بعضها.
So, in concluding, how does the Muslim live in the West? The Muslim lives in the West by obtaining knowledge, by doing ibadah and worshiping Allah, by giving a da'wah ila Allah Azza wa Jal in accordance to the dawabit and the qawa'id ilmiya, the rules and regulations and the scholastic principles that have been set forth for us from the Kitab and the Sunnah.
الموضوع كبير وكبير جدا لكنني اختصرت الموضوع اختصارا شديدا وآسف على الإطالة ولنستمع إلى أسئلتكم أحسن الله إليكم.
The Sheikh said this topic in reality is a big topic, and I just summarized it for you, a big summarization, big ikhtisar, and I'm sorry and I apologize if it took a lot of time.
هذا ما أستطيع في هذه العجالة أن أنصحك به ونكتفي بهذا وصلى الله وسلم على.
The Sheikh said this is what I can advise you in this quickness, and peace and blessings on the Nabi.